Hi, everybody. Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, June the 30th, race number 8 at beautiful Belmont Park. It's an entry-level allowance race going 1.3 miles on the inner turf. Let's take a look at this field. You can view free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Take a peek, handicap along with us. When you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire Belmont card on Thursday with your DRF Bets account, which includes free formulator past performances. Mike, big class drop for the number 7 Easter.
Yeah, it really is coming out of a grade 1 race where he actually ran pretty well, Dan, against, 3 horses who are just simply better than he is. I still feel like if he's going to be a short price in here, there's still a slight question about distance for this horse, but I guess he's the horse to beat.
He's the class of the race, arguably the horse to beat, but he's not the speed. That goes to the number 2, QF75. We take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. He's clear on the lead. This horse is very, very fast. The question mark is always, can you slow him down enough or will have something left for the end?
Yeah, that is the question, because especially if you go back and watch his most recent start, they really couldn't slow him down on the lead. Then he went a little too fast, it looked like, early in that race, and he got tired through the stretch. You still have the distance question to answer with him, too. He's got to get the 11 furlongs in this race, but he should be in front early.
The number 1 in here is Balthus, and considering his connections and his pedigree, his first 2 starts last year had to be considered a bit of a disappointment, but Chad Brown gave him the winter off, gelded him, gave him blinkers, and he has improved in 2 starts in 2022, including this victory against Maidens back in May. Now, this race, Mike, he had a lot of things go his way. He was on the outside. There was a riderless horse in this race causing a little bit of havoc. He got to the outside, and he's not able to get past the riderless horse, but he wins fairly comfortably over everybody else.
Yeah, he did. He's definitely, at least in my opinion, he's taken a pretty nice step forward since he's come back off that little layoff. His first 2 races weren't much. I didn't even feel like he ran great off the layoff there in April, but he ran a little bit better. I think he really did take a step forward last time, Dan, though. Yeah, he was dueling with a loose horse through the stretch, but he left the rest of that field far behind him, and he just always traveled really strong in that race. Up the backstretch, it looked like he was going to win. And he did win pretty comfortably at the end.
He draws an inside post this time around. Maybe he could tuck in behind the leaders. The leader should be the number 2, QF75, who's been on the lead in both of his starts this year, and he's just gotten tired at the end. Maybe he's racing himself back into peak shape. Let's watch his last start, yielding performance, yielding turf course at Belmont, and he's in front with a clear lead turning into the stretch. But as Mike noted, he had to go 47 and change, 112 and change in this 1.125 mile race, and he gets very tired at the end.
Yeah, he's just not finishing here. They're inside the final furlong now, and he can see he's not reaching out for ground anymore. He needs the wire to save him here, and the wire is not going to come in time, and a long shot is going to outfinish him at the end. All in all, he ran okay in here because if you go back and watch the full replay, I mean, he was really pulling on Joel Rosario around the first turn, and Rosario just couldn't rate him. He just had to let him go. He opened up a big lead up the backstretch. I think he was just going a little too fast, Dan. We'll see if he can slow it down a little bit in this race.
Dante's Fire, the number 3, is a 2-time winner, stepping up out of the condition claiming ranks. His most recent start is this race, his first race off of a very long layoff in a $35,000 3 Life at Belmont. And we see he's in behind horses turning into the stretch. He'll finish evenly for 3rd. Michael Maker knows where to place these horses. So stepping up in class, second off the layoff, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves forward a little bit.
Yeah, me either. I feel like they're probably are stepping him up into this race just to get a little more distance for him and see if that works to his advantage. They did try to stretch him out at the end of his 3-year-old year for a couple of races. I guess he ran fine in at least one of those. So we'll see. It feels like Maker wants this horse to go longer, and so he's going to stretch him out against some better horses.
And the number 4 is There's a Storm Brewing. This one is entered main track only. Would probably be the horse to beat if this race is washed off. So we'll move on to the 5, Beauty Amazed, who raced 3 times for Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners overseas. And this is a horse who did most of his damage over a synthetic track. He's now with Todd Pletcher. He's getting Lasix for the first time. He's listed as a gelding. I don't think he is a new gelding. Both Timeform and Racing Post had him as a new gelding last time.
Yeah, his most recent start, they did have him listed as a new gelding, and he did improve in that race, too. His first 2 races, to me, he just didn't run that well. He did improve last time. Maybe it was being a new gelding. Maybe it was the added distance. It could have been either of those 2 things. He does have a really nice pedigree, Dan. It's not really a turf pedigree, but he's got a really nice pedigree. He has been listed as a vet scratch already once since he's been over here. So maybe there are some issues with this horse, but there's a chance he turns out to be okay.
Hard Rye Guy is only 1 for 15, but this is a horse that's faced some decent competition out of town, including his most recent race during the Keeneland Spring Meet, going 1.5 miles. Let's watch that performance for Ian Wilkes. And it was always that there just wasn't a lot of speed. They went 51 and change for the half, 116 and change for 3/4. And he's kind of picking his way in between horses. He's going to drop down, and he's going to end up finishing a really good second behind a horse that would come back to run third in a second level allowance with a 90 buyer. As you see, he just really couldn't get a clear run.
Yeah, he did run well in this race. You're right. When he wanted to make his initial move there, he just wasn't quite clear. He had to wait and then make a second move there. Can't get up. Boy, he's had an awful lot of chances. He's still a maiden on the grass too. I don't like those things about him. But he has run some good races. I wonder if he catches any kind of a setup here and maybe he can get himself involved at a price.
Easter, the number 7, was stakes placed at 1 mile in France to kick off his career. He ended up being third in his first start, 4 Grand Motion in North America. That was an allowance race. He did not break very well in that race. He saved ground most of the way. He's changed leads several times, but he was running at the end. And in the Man of War last time out, the trip was there for him, but he only got beat 4 lengths by some really nice horses.
Yeah, that was a really tough spot for him. And it felt like, he had, again, I feel like he had that distance question to answer, Dan, because over in France, they mostly kept him to 1 mile. They weren't really looking to stretch this horse out. Motion stretched him out last time in a pretty tough spot. I thought he acquitted himself well. I guess it makes him the horse to beat in here, but I think you still have to question how far this horse wants to go at a short price.
I think it's a very fair point because the connections overseas basically kept him to 1 mile. They stretched him out once, middling results in that race, but Motion knows what he's doing, and maybe just the class drop is too much. Trending is the number 8 going out for Shug McGahee. What a lovely pedigree this horse has. First start against winners last time out. Can you just make the case that the ground was just a little bit too soft for him that day?
I mean, you could. I think it's something that you want to consider for a couple of the horses back in this race. To me, this horse just didn't run great in there. Maybe it's the ground. I do like some of his prior races. I feel like when you watch his earlier, especially his first 2 turf starts, he kind of felt like he didn't really know what he was doing yet. He was sort of learning on the job there, Dan. I think he is getting better. I did not think he ran particularly well last time, though.
Hilliard, the number 9, was claimed by the Dangerous Mike Maker barn for $40,000 at Saratoga last year. Not surprisingly, Maker immediately stretched him out in distance, but I'm just not sure he really loved that Kentucky Downs turf configuration when 7th in the Dueling Grounds Derby. Maybe it was just a case of too much too soon, stepping up off a condition claiming race. Maker dropped him back in distance, and he got a win last time out in a $50,000 starter allowance. We watched that race, and Rat Ortiz looks like he wanted to get out turning into the stretch. He didn't. It was the right move, because Hilliard was able to stay inside, ease outside his stablemate, and get it done. Very good buyer speed figure of 89, and I don't mind him being stretched out again.
Yeah, I don't either. Of the 2 Maker horses stretching back out, I think this is probably the one that you're most afraid of. I have my concerns about whether, he's this good, because I do think this is a pretty good field, but man, there's no denying that he's improved since Maker claimed him.
Conquer the World, the number 10, doesn't have a lot of early speed, plus drawing the outside. I wonder if Luis Saez, even though he is an aggressive jockey, is just going to kind of break, sort of take this horse back to save a little bit of ground, and then hope that QF75 goes and runs off in the early portion of this race. He's very lightly raced, and I thought his 2 starts back when he finished behind Easter was not a terrible outing. Last time out was one of those yielding ground excuses.
Yeah, I think if you're going to give anybody an excuse out of that race, you almost have to give it to this horse, because as opposed to, Trending, who did a little running in there, it just seemed like he wasn't quite good enough. This horse never did anything. He never got out of last. On the backstretch, Dylan Davis was already asking him, and he just was not responding. It feels like maybe he didn't care for the going. At least you have to give him that excuse if you want to go back to him, like I do, Dan, because I liked his first 3 turf starts. I thought he ran really well in all of those races. And I feel like there's a chance he could still turn out to be pretty good. I don't mind him getting more distance either, because I think he might want that.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video offerings. Saratoga right around the corner. Top pick time for our Thursday DRF Race of the Day. You're going to Conquer the World. 7-figure yearling by Curlin. I think he's not exposed at all. And again, the last race is an excuse that's just going to keep people from betting him. They're going to look at that running line and go, well, he can't run.
Yeah, I wonder. It'll be interesting to see how they bet this race, Dan. I guess they almost have to go for Easter. I don't know. I'm going to try. I'm going to give this horse a chance to rebound here. I got to give him a pass for his last race because based on his first 3 turf starts, I know he's better than that. I got to give him a chance to rebound. This is a 1 3/8. He's starting from the outside. They have a very long run to that first turn. He's supposed to be able to get a trip in here.
Balthus, the number 1, is very lightly raced. I think we'll learn a lot more about this horse because he just got out of the maiden ranks. We'll see how he classes up, breaking from the inside post. He can save ground, perhaps in mid-pack, and we'll see if he's good. His pedigree says he's supposed to be. He's got the connections, which hurt his price, but I think Easter is going to take a lot of money in here. 10-1-7-2 for Mike, 1-7-9-2 for me. It's the last race of the day for June. It is race number 8 at Belmont Park. Good luck.